It's very fun to look at this during exams. Everyone does this, okay? But it's very cool, okay? This is something that works out really nicely and students can remember it nicely, so you should remember it too. A huge thanks to my Patreon supporters for making this episode possible. In the last time I created a lot of videos on trigonometry, like the cosine of 3 degrees, sine of 1 degree, and a bunch of other videos in trigonometry. And in there we were using addition formulae, addition theorems, for example the addition of arguments inside of a cosine. And something struck me like lightning. Something so retardedly fucking obvious that I never noticed before, but it's also so very elegant at the same time, and it all has to do with the fundamental theorem of trigonometry. And once you see it today, you just can't unsee it anymore. Papa Pythagoras, we're going to rip your ass open today. But before we dive into the main video, don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Hitpause Screen Recorder, who are kind enough to sponsor this episode here on this channel. On a daily basis, I receive requests from people asking if I could help them with becoming YouTubers, getting started with a maths, physics, etc. YouTube channel for themselves. And when they ask this, I usually give a bunch of instructions and just tell them what they could do to get started overall. And to get started, you need to decide on a certain format your channel wants to take. And there are basically three formats. You can either do animations like 3 Blue and Brown, you can be like myself and dance in front of the chalkboard, or the last option is to record your screen and maybe also your face, and then put everything together with a voiceover and then start posting it on YouTube. And if you want to get started with the third option, then I definitely invite you to try out Hitpause Screen Recorder for free today. It's a very minimalistic but powerful screen recording software that is going to help you to record your lectures, online courses, whatever it is, maybe just your tutorials on mathematics for YouTube and obviously other platforms too. And the best thing is, it also allows you to record your screen next to your face cam, putting everything together in a nice and well thought out video that is really going to help out other people if you decide to post it on YouTube. So if this feels like something for you, definitely make sure to check out the link at the top of the description. You can try it out for completely free, as mentioned before, and if you use the code that's also down there in the description, you can get 30% off a premium subscription. So that's a great deal. Definitely make sure to check it out, and if you want to get started with the YouTube game, this could be the perfect fit for you. And now we are going to dive right in. So before we get to the main essence of the video, which is going to fall from the sky, and it's just going to be a very nice experience for all of us today, we are going to take a look at the cosine addition formula. That's the only one we are going to take a look at today. No further need for other addition formulae. Namely, the cosine of x plus y. Thing with the trigonometric functions, cosine, tangent, half sine, etc., is that they are not linear, meaning the cosine of x plus y is not the same as the cosine of x plus the cosine of y. This is not something that works out. We need to put in a bit more work. And for this we are going to take a look at the coolest way I know about, and if you don't know what I'm talking about here, take a look at the so-called complex numbers but different playlist, link in the description. It's a very good watch. Definitely make sure to check it out to get a different kind of point of view on how to construct complex numbers apart from their algebraic expressions basically. Definitely make sure to check it out. We are not going to take a look at the cosine specifically right now. We are going to take a look at the rotation matrix in 2 dimensions to get ourselves the addition formula. Now, the rotation matrix, what is that? The rotation matrix can rotate objects, for example a 2×1 vector, by a certain angle far. For example, the rotation matrix of 90 degrees applied to this vector is going to rotate it by 90 degrees in the plane. Okay, this is what the rotation matrix is for, and we found out, or it's defined, I mean there are several ways to get your hands on the rotation matrix, that the rotation matrix's entry is equal to the cosine of phi, then we got the negative sine of phi. Next up we get the sine of phi once again, and last but not least we get the cosine of phi. So I want you guys to notice something. This right here is any other complex number, just in matrix form. On the main diagonal we are going to get the real part. The real part, by coincidence, or not, is the cosine. The imaginary part is basically just the absolute values of what we got here on the non-main diagonal. Okay, and now we are going to apply this rotation matrix to a rotation matrix by a another angle, eta, for example. Applying a rotation matrix to another rotation matrix is going to be the same as adding arguments of cosines or sines together respectively, and then we can just compare entries and get our addition formula out on the other side. Now what happens if we multiply the rotation matrix of phi with the rotation matrix of eta? I don't care. I mean, we can write it out at first. So we know what the rotation matrix of phi is. This is just going to be the cosine of phi here, then negative the sine of phi here, last but not least the sine of phi and the cosine of phi. And the rotation matrix with respect to eta is the same as this one right here, just with eta plugged in instead of phi. Meaning this is going to give us the cosine of eta, then we're going to get negative the sine of eta, then we get sine of eta once again, and then the cosine of eta. Now, as mentioned before, if you were to take a look at the matrix that you are going to get out on the other side, it's on the one hand the multiplication of those two with certain entries in there, and on the other hand it's going to be the certain matrix with the entries cosine of phi plus eta, then negative sine of phi plus eta, and so on. I think you get the pattern. And then we can just compare entries basically. Now, all we are interested in is the cosine addition formula. And two matrices are exactly equal if their dimensions are equal and also their entries are equal. Meaning, all we need to do is find out what the multiplication of basically those two matrices and their corresponding first entry is, and then we get our cosine addition formula out on the other side. Very easy and very cool thing to visualize it using matrices. This is something that helped me a lot at university. You don't need to remember all the addition formulae out there. If you have those matrices in your head, it's going to be very easy to find them out overall. Now, multiplying matrices is a very easy feat. All you have to do is take the first column and put it on top of the first line. It's a very spastic motion, but I always teach this to my students because it's a very nice mnemonic device. You don't have to do much. Putting the column onto the line. It's very fun to look at this during exams. Everyone does this, okay? But it's very cool, okay? This is something that works out really nicely and students can remember it nicely, so you should remember it too. Now if we were to put the column onto the line, we're going to get the cosine of phi multiplied with the cosine of eta. And last but not least, we're going to get the sine of phi, but with a negative sign, times the sine of eta. And I leave the other addition formula for the sine as a little exercise to the viewer. Very easy, just do this motion and find out what this entry down here is going to be. Et voila, we got ourselves the addition formula for our cosine of x plus y. Let me put it into terms of x plus y, so this is cosine of x times the cosine of y. And then we are going to get negative the sine of x times the sine of y. Now, I'm going to do a little transformation here. At first, we're going to take a look at the second addition formula. Namely, what about the cosine of x minus y? This is very easy to do because all we have to do is let y be equal to negative y and then just plug the corresponding values into here. Now the cosine of x minus y is going to be, if we plug negative y into the cosine, I want you guys to remember something. Cosine is an even function. Even means if we have the cosine of x, this is the same as the cosine of negative x. In other words speaking, the cosine of negative y is the same as the cosine of y. Okay, thus far that's good. Now, next up, if we were to plug in negative y into the sine, then sine is an odd function. Odd means if we have the sine of negative x, this is the same as negative the sine of x. Now, if we were to drag the negative sign in front of the y out and put it to the front, we are going to get negative, and negative is positive, meaning all that's really changing on the addition formula is the sign that we got in between of the cosines and the sines. The sign in between the sines. Okay, plus the sine of x times the sine of y. And now it should become clear to you where we are going at. And this is something I never noticed before, but it's so trivial and so perfect. It's the most elegant way, in my opinion, that I found out up until now to prove the fundamental theorem of trigonometry, Papa Pythagoras. All we have to do now is to say, well, why not set y equal to x? Okay, let's do this real quick. Why not set y equal to x? If we have the cosine of x minus x, this is x minus x is 0. Oh, cosine of 0. Cosine of 0? Oh, This is 1. Okay, so we now know that this is 1. But what is 1 equal to? I mean, if we were to let y equal to x, then we get cosine of x times the cosine of x. This is cosine squared of x. Now we got a positive sign in the middle. If we let y equal to x, then sine of x times sine of x is sine squared of x. And there we go. Isn't that cool? That's a really cool way to prove the fundamental theorem of trigonometry, and I seriously never noticed it before. And if you noticed it before, please let me know, because I heard of no one before who came up with this way, okay? It's something that is so blatantly obvious, but something you just don't notice because it's in front of your eyes the whole time. I don't know, it's just weird that I never noticed, but it's really cool. And if you did enjoy this video, then share it around or something. Give it a like and comment down there. After that, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to support the channel by checking out stemmerch.eu, my newly founded platform for handcrafted STEM products. And yeah, support the channel on Patreon, etc. And up until the next video, I wish you guys a flammable day, and don't forget how to check how it was screen recorder. Little English, not my first language is. Okay, please stay safe and please have a flammable day. Ciao.